Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your Backstage episode of Right Angle, brought to you by the members at BillWhittle.com. And this has been an exciting week in the world, and we plan to put a damper on all of that. It's a little too much excitement. And after we come off the heels of the women's national soccer team winning the world championship, we've got Coco. Is it Coco Gauff? Is that how you pronounce her name? Or Groff? Anyway, at Wimbledon, the 15-year-old kid who got to like the third round after beating Venus Williams in the first round. And then let's not forget what scientists have discovered about the cockatoo who can do 14 different dance moves, including some really funky stuff. Two queens, another one bites the dust.
How did I miss this story?
If you haven't seen that video, and apparently this is an untrained cockatoo or cockatiel or whatever it is that actually has come up with its own kind of head bobbing dance moves and lifts its foot up and does all kinds of really cool stuff. So this is big news for science in general, and science was mentioned in the headline. But this week we have, I have the members only episode of Right Angle, and so this is not really members only anymore, it's members sponsored. By the way, we have to figure out a new way to promote these, because before I hardly even wrote headlines for the things that were members only, because you didn't have to attract viewers on YouTube, only the members would see them. But apparently the headline, Right Angle Lightning Round XXII is not
doing it.
It's not a clickbait headline.
Oh, no.
So I've got to find a new way to write headlines about these catch-all shows like that one. So here are the two subjects I would like to cover.
You can have my Roman numerals when you pry them from my cold, dead fingers.
That's right.
I believe that's exactly what Teddy Roosevelt said.
So there are two subjects here. One of them I'm much more passionate about than the other. I'll give you the minor one first. France has announced that it is going to do an eco tax on planes that are taking off from French runways, anywhere from just a couple of bucks up to like 18 euros. I don't know, what do they call them? What's the slang for euros? Like we call dollars.
It's just euro, singular, plural, euro.
So they don't have like we have like greenbacks and bucks and simoleons and things like that. They've nothing like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
so
believe they're called Brussels sprouts.
It comes out to, for those of you playing the home game, it comes out to about 16.19 pounds, whatever that is.
Oh, there you go.
So anywhere from about 18 cents on up. And basically the idea is that that these jets are causing a terrible problem for the world in helping to exacerbate climate change. And so therefore we should make the people pay who are flying in these airplanes, and then use that money to fund public transit. And I thought this was an interesting line in this story, and this is really what got it onto my radar. Forgive the expression. Only around 5% of the world's population takes flights. Okay, so this is the flying populace of the world. But air travel contributes an estimated 2% of the globe's total carbon emissions. It's like, wait a minute, only 5% are flying, but it only contributes 2%
What, on any given day?
of the carbon emissions, apparently. So it usually when they do stuff like that, they'll say like only 2% of the world's population flies, but it accounts for 27% of the pollution in the air or whatever. But this was just the opposite. So the people who are flying are contributing a disproportionately small amount. Now, maybe they're saying, well, that, in addition to all the other horrible things they do, like exhaling, eating meat, driving automobiles to the airport.
This is the same Europe that gave us the diesel emissions scandal, because Europe thought that diesel was going to be so much cleaner, so they provided all of these tax incentives to get people to buy diesels. But the only way that companies like Volkswagen could conform with the diesel air cleanliness regulations was to cheat on the damn test. And now they're finding out that it wasn't going to save the planet anyway, and now they're trying to get everybody off of diesel by taxing the bejesus out of it. This after using all the tax incentives to get people into diesel. So here we go again.
It's almost like they don't know what they're talking about.
It's almost that way, Bill.
Has Europe ever seen a diesel motor running? Like, did they, when they came up with this idea, like the diesel was, I always associated as a kid before I knew anything about the
Black
climate.
clouds of smoke.
Yes, yeah.
Well, a really modern diesel, at least passenger, has a diesel fluid trap thing with this. I don't
So
actually
it's
know
filthy,
how it works.
but it's
I drive
wearing a
diesel,
colostomy bag.
And every 10,000 miles or so, I have to get this fluid replaced because it traps all this particulate stuff that otherwise would be spewing out of my muffler.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't know this about Steve Green. Steve is driving a diesel?
Yeah.
Do you like soccer?
No.
Okay.
No. I like diesel though. I'm getting like 540 miles out of a tank of diesel. It's awesome.
I just heard that half of all all the new cars purchased in Norway now, half of them are electric cars. And I did see a picture of a car that I do want to own. It's a Tesla hearse. So it's a and they're probably charging a premium at the funeral home.
It plays the Munsters theme when you drive it.
That's right. But it was pretty bad looking. I mean in the sense of good. I liked it. Okay, so that was it. That was the France eco tax on all flights leaving the country. And I just thought, well, I know the solution to that. Just don't take a flight entering the country, and then you won't have to leave.
Or you fly into Paris, but then fly out of Frankfurt.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And then drive in your diesel, black smoke belching diesel
Spewing
Jetta.
crap out the back. Oh yeah.
Okay, so here's the other thing, and this was in the Boston Globe. And the lead of the story says agents with the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Immigration and Customs Enforcement have turned state driver's license databases into a facial recognition gold mine, scanning hundreds of millions of Americans' photos without their knowledge or consent, newly released documents reveal. Somebody at George Washington University was doing some research, filed an FOIA request, and found out that the FBI and ICE are tapping these databases of driver's licenses across the country without having me sign off on it and basically saying, hey, I understand when I'm getting my driver's license in Texas that you're going to be sending my image and information to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, even though I'm not implicated or charged with any kind of crime. Go say it.
I want to say a really, really bad word.
Me too. I wonder how many of your biological samples have also been appropriated by the FBI for your own safety, of course.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's who's on the other side of that little stainless steel door. When you go to the doctor's office and they give you the plastic cup, and then you open that little door and you stick it in there and close the door, and then on the other side, it's Uncle Sam reaching in and pulling out the little
and then Uncle he takes
sample.
a little eyedropper and then he puts it in another rotating steel door, and then it goes to the lab for processing. That's not the most sought after job in the FBI, by the way, being in that tiny little room.
It's the second most sought after job, right after FBI director. So anyway, I just thought that this was, is there anybody who makes these decisions? I don't blame the agents in the field who are the frontline, people who are trying to do the investigative work. No. And
so only following orders.
Yeah, but and apparently both Democrats and Republicans in Congress, upon learning of this, which was not previously revealed and is not authorized by any law at the federal or state level, are outraged at this and saying, hey, wait a minute. And the FBI is not doing just a few facial recognition searches on the facial database. Since 2011, the FBI has logged more than 390,000 facial recognition searches on federal and local databases, including state DMV databases.
We need to take these servers and just reprogram them with an axe.
And can you ever go back? Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you could be, take that I like the Luddite approach. I like smashing the machine, but now that data is out there. And, if the FBI director stood up and said, by the way, we've erased all of that, we apologize, and we don't have that information anymore, who would believe that?
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah.
Not that I think they're going to do that. Anyway, so those are my two topics. Stephen Green, you have last week once again disappointed us sorely by doing another episode of Lightning Round. And yet, week after week, Bill and I find it in our hearts to forgive you and move on. So I don't bring this up because I still harbor that bitterness. I just bring it up for the public record.
Fine. You know what? I'm going to do a lightning round this week too. It's going to be my regular episode.
I don't think that's allowed. Bill, what are the rules? Can we bring in, where's the Robert's Rules of Order guy?
I'm not going to do a lightning round to you guys for my regular segment. But you tempt me though, Scott. You just, I could so do it. Yeah, I don't actually want to talk about this topic, but it has a couple of really important angles, so I'm going to talk about this topic. Does it begin with
Ep and end with Steen?
It starts with Ep and ends with Steen, Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Indictment on Saturday, became news on Sunday. Glenn Reynolds sent me the link to the indictment in PDF form yesterday morning, and I read this thing. It's not actually that long, for what it is. And it's, despite the dry legal language, this is a really difficult thing to read. But I don't want to talk about Epstein so much and the awful things he is alleged to have done to girls as young as 14, one at least still wearing braces. I pretty much want to leave that alone. I want to talk about actually the idea of maybe bringing justice to a previously untouchable billionaire who, got off with this super light touch back in 2008.
And are you going to deal at all with the political implications? I mean, Bill Clinton's spokesperson immediately came out and sort of chronicled all the contacts that Clinton had over the years and where they were and what the nature of them was and who else was there. And it was always the Secret Service with him. And then there's been some implication. Obviously, they have some Donald Trump quotes where he was talking about what a terrific guy Epstein was and that how he appreciated beautiful women like Trump does, but he tends to lean toward the younger ones. Yeah. And it just seems, and who was it? It was Christina Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's kid, who runs like something important at the DNC, who was saying, hey, get ready for a lot of other well-known political and celebrity figures to be dragged into this.
Good. Absolutely. The angle I'm going to bring into Charles Lipson, I think his name is, over at the USA edition of Spectator, which is a British paper, put together a column that really describes the politics and the legality of it in one place better than I've seen anywhere else. So I'll have a couple of quotes from him to get things started. But you set the salaciousness aside. The salaciousness is what's going to bring everybody, get everybody watching the story, reading the story. But I think the implications of it are huge if we can actually take one of these scummy billionaires and put him behind bars for a change.
He was, for the allegation is that not only was he paying hundreds of dollars to these young women and girls to come and give him massages that would escalate from there, but that he would also pay them to recruit their teen friends to come in and do the same.
Ugh. Yeah, so I mean, there's a sex trafficking angle. There's just all sorts of stuff, but I'd rather talk about the positive side of this horrible story.
Justice would be nice.
It really would.
Yeah. Okay, well, Bill Whittle is wearing that T-shirt that he got from the Sequoia National Park, and that they give that T-shirt away. Which I got
at LAX.
What's that? At LAX?
It's at LAX. No, see, it's actually beautiful up there.
Yeah, so you didn't get it legitimately. And normally what my understanding is that they give those Sequoia National Park T-shirts to anybody who can prove that they're older than the trees in the park.
You can do that by basically taking a sample of my hair and then counting the rings. Yeah. Okay, are you ready for this?
No. I'm ready for this.
I'm going long on this one. So American women's soccer team wins the World Cup, Women's World Cup, second time in a row. Hooray! That's 4 national championships, 4 worldwide championships for the U.S. Next closest team is Germany with 2. I have an attitude about sports teams that are playing under the flag. This is the American women's teams. No, nothing else. This isn't UCLA, American women's team. And my general rule of thumb with this is that I'm going to be proud of the athletes if they're proud of the country. I don't care whether they win or lose, as long as they're proud of the country and they perform with some kind of grace or something. Then I'm proud for them. I'm happy I win. But if they're going to be the American team and then the star of that team is going to trample the American flag underneath her feet for a picture opportunity, then they're not my team anymore. And
Did she do that?
Yeah.
Yep.
And furthermore, I am not only am I not going to support that team, I'm going to get a measure of, revenge. That's what it is. And here's my revenge. So is it Rapinoe? Is that how it's pronounced?
Megan Rapinoe.
So Megan Rapinoe is going around. She's a multimillionaire and she's an excellent athlete, no question about that. And she's claiming that women are getting paid less than men and that it's all part of this vast patriarchal conspiracy and so on. And I'm going to just come out and just tell you, listen, Megan, if this is the way you want to treat America, if you want to diss the flag and say you're not going to the effing White House, and if you say you're never going to sing the national anthem again, fine. Now we know what the rules are. Now we know what you think of the country. So here comes some interesting news. The women's national team lost a scrimmage between the championship they had 4 years ago and this one, so 2 years ago. The women's national team was doing a warm-up match for their competition against Russia. They played Birmingham United boys team, which is Birmingham, Alabama. 15-year-old boys beat the women's team 5-2. And everybody said, well, they really weren't training very hard. That was all they were just relaxing, kind of goofing off, having fun. I've watched Rapinoe. I've watched Rapinoe talk about her victories. If you think that I think that she's going to sit there and let 15-year-old boys whip them 5-2 without trying hard, I don't buy it. But furthermore, I'm going to just get into the whole thing. There's been a number of competitions where men have played against women. And Bobby Riggs and Billie Jean King is the greatest example. There's some question about whether or not he actually threw the game. He certainly has never played a worse game. But I just did a little looking, and it turns out that there have been several matches of the men versus women. Some of them where women have a 30-love lead in every single set, and the men beat them every time. So I'm going to go down this road only because she's decided to go down the road she's going down. You know, you want to take this attitude like you are living in this horrible country where this patriarchy is robbing you of your fair share of your money. Then I say, if the best women's team in the world can't beat a bunch of 15-year-old boys in Birmingham, Alabama, then you are not entitled to the same amount of money because you can't play soccer on anything like the level of the men. And it's true for tennis as well. It's true for everything. So you want to be the kind of person who tramples the flag and says you're not going to the effing White House. Then I'm going to be the kind of guy who's going to remind you of some basic facts about you and your egotism and your repugnance.
See, Bill, I don't think that their prowess on the field vis-a-vis somebody of another sex has anything to do with how much they should be paid. For example, Taylor Swift can pack a stadium of 100,000 people where maybe
Correct.
Somebody who's at the top of his game as a singer right now couldn't
Correct.
fill that stadium 5 nights in a row.
Because
My view is I don't care who sings better or whether Taylor Swift can hit the note that the guy can hit. All I care is that she puts butts in seats for 5 nights in a row in a 100,000 seat arena. And that's, I think, the
precisely
only
correct.
measure that the women should be subjected to.
But my point is that they're claiming that there's this patriarchal conspiracy against them because they get paid less than men when 4 times as many people watch men's soccer as women's soccer. And the reason more people watch men's soccer than women's soccer is because women's soccer national world champions can be beaten by a bunch of 15-year-old boys in Alabama. And I'm sorry, if you want to play this game, Megan, then let's play. You want to play, let's play. I'm happy to play. So
Just harsh.
You know, we used to go to
Bring the
watch
hate.
when I was in high
bring
school.
the hate, but bring the facts as well, because I'm just sick of this crap.
When I was in high school, we used to go to the men's basketball games and the women's basketball games for a high school team. Me and my group of friends, it was an excuse to get together on the one hand, but it was also, we just loved to just scream and yell and have fun at our team's sporting events. And the men's basketball team was pretty poor during my era in high school, but the women's basketball team was actually pretty excellent. And there were two players, I think it was Linda Gelsbach and Lori Groover. Can you believe that? 35, 40 years later, I remember to them, who were both 1,000-point career scorers. And in that arena, like if the women's team had played the men's team in my high school, the men would have beaten them. Okay. But at the realm that they were playing, in the level that they were playing, the women were dominant and excellent, and the men couldn't compete with other boys from other schools. So, I'm okay with that. Now, who sold more tickets? The boys' team, by far. Like the women's team played, after school. The guys' team played on Friday night. So I just think that the measure for compensation should only come from the generator of the revenue.
You know what? I've just realized while you're talking that I'm so pissed off about this that I'm going to turn this into a firewall. Can I call an audible for my?
I'm sorry, as the chairman of BillWhittle.com, I don't think you have the authority to do that.
I have always put other people in charge of me because I would like to say that in my defense, I was left unsupervised.
That's right.
So yeah, I actually realized that I'm angry enough about this to want to spend a little more time on it.
Nice.
I did see the shirt start to rip around your shoulders and the flesh
I'm
turned
just
green.
sick of it. I'm sick. I'm sick of playing along. I'm sick of playing along. The women's team is a great team. They're the greatest team in women's soccer. That's fantastic. And if they'd come and even if she had just said, "I'm not going to the effing White House," I hate Donald Trump, I'd still hold my fire on this. But when you talk about this being, I'm not going to sing the national anthem, and I'm going to step on the flag during a photo op, and it's all because of this American evil patriarchy, then I'm going to hit back, and I'm going to hit back rhetorically because I've hit back physically, even though she's one of the world's greatest athletes. She'd feel it.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, let me, since we won't be doing this one as a right angle, let me tell you something I read on, can't remember where I read it, just over the last couple of days. Women are actually better paid in soccer than men are as a percentage of revenue. The men get 9% of revenue, and the women's players got 13%.
Oh, so they get a bigger cut.
Yeah, they're paid a percentage almost 40% greater than what the men get.
Yeah, I'm going to do this as a firewall.
Interesting.
I remember I did something like this when they were talking about transgendered athletes, and I don't remember what the exact statistics were. I'll go dig them up. It was a previous firewall, but basically, I took a look at like the high school, the top 10 high school male athletes in track and field, right? Their best times for the 100-meter dash, the top 10 males in high school. And every single one of them is faster than the fastest woman that ever ran by a large margin. Yeah. So there you go, Megan.
It's all relative.
Now you know. You want to play this game. Let's play. I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. I thought Bobby Riggs threw that match, and I thought, okay, great. Now the women can have something to cheer about. Fantastic. But it gets on and on and on, and this whole patriarchy thing and this whole 72 cents on the dollar thing and on and on. I've had enough. I've had enough of it. I've had enough of young men feeling like crap because they're told by their teachers that they're potential rapists and that they're defective girls and all the rest of that too. I'm over. I'm done with it. I'm just not going to sit still for it anymore. I'm finished.
I had my suspicions when Bobby Riggs in between, when they go over and sit down and towel off a little bit between matches, when he lit up a cigarette in between those,
Did he really?
I don't know, but I could see him doing that.
And by the way, Bobby Riggs was 55.
He was 55 years old.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he hadn't played professionally I can't remember.
Bobby Riggs just a couple of months earlier had played a woman for this kind of thing, walloped her. And then a couple years later, Jimmy Connors at 44 played Martina Navratilova in her prime and whipped her.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Connors was so sure he was going to lose. He apparently took a 4-to-1 bet. I don't know what the total amount was. A 4-to-1 bet against himself.
Wow. But didn't throw the match.
Yeah.
But didn't throw the match.
Honorable guy. I always liked Jimmy.
That's right.
Connors.
Credibility. Okay. So did we? Oh, you called an audible. So what are you going to do? Did we do that?
Yeah, we need a new.
We're going to find
new
out
topic.
when we get to the scrimmage line.
When we get to it.
All right.
This will be like a super surprise for our members who have no idea. In fact,
Be a
in many
super
ways,
surprise for
they're
me.
just like us. They have no idea
What the hell's going on with
what's
this
going
turkey
on
shoot?
here.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to thank the members who've continued to contribute vigorously to the members only blog at BillWhittle.com. I still continue to read that and the comments. It's really cool. The feature, like when you go up to the top, I think it says blog or something at the top of the page or something. The guy who created it doesn't know. But anyway, if you mouse over the word blog, one of the things you can see is the 50 most recent comments. And that's a cool feature because I always click on those recent comments and just see how people are reacting not only to our video posts, but to the members' blogs. And so we appreciate the engagement and the involvement that you've had there, to the ways every day that you're making this site better, to the more and more people who are signing up for instant notifications. In the lower right-hand corner of the site, there's a little red circle that has a white bell in it. And if you click that, when we post a new video to the website, you'll get an alert on your mobile device or on your web browser, on your computer, that'll pop up and show you that we've just posted a new video to the website. And as a member, I would prefer that over a subscription to YouTube notifications, only because with YouTube, you're jumping into the toxic sewer of social media in that comment section. And that's fun too. But, you know, at the website, you're getting in among the members and having a serious discussion of important issues, and frankly, with a lot of humor and a lot of encouragement. So anyway, there's so much to thank you for, all the notes that you've written to us, the topic suggestions that you're sending to us on a daily basis. And I'll often respond to those and say, hey, I've forwarded this to Bill and Steve, or if it was specifically addressed to one or the other. You're just making this great, and we are grateful for it. That should be, I'm going to get a hat that says MABWA, Make Bill Whittle Great Again. No, wait a minute.
Again?
MBWA.
MBWEG.
What was that?
Make Bill Whittle even greater.
Even
great.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be extra great, but what do I know?
Extra. That's right. Eminently. So thank you for all that. And thanks for the contributions that make this possible. We are going to get about the business of making some more shows for you, of which there are some 48 each month. And we know that you enjoy that. Oh, by the way, if you haven't seen the Stratosphere Lounge episode from last week, scroll forward to the 2-hour, 12-minute mark, I believe it is.
See the live earthquake.
Where Bill Whittle, does kind of one of those, God himself cannot take this victory from us.
Talking about, I'm not afraid of risks or earthquakes.
The man is literally saying, there's no need to be worried about earthquakes. And then you see him turn sideways and look at his wife and go, what was that? We just had one?
Oh, man.
I only left the frame because she was really pretty freaked out.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think you actually left the frame because it sounded like your entire light kit from your other set was about to go down.
No. I would have stayed right here, but she was really, really.
Oh, yeah.
really-
So, it was a 7.1, yeah? That's
it wasn't
big.
too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loma Prieta,
And while-
I think, was 7.2.
We could hear
That
the
was
light
huge.
kit rattling in the background, but when Bill steps away from the camera, now all you see is behind him, there's this little shelf with a bunch of little knickknacks on it.
And one little thing goes, tink.
Yeah, one little object kind of falls over on the shelf.
Millions of dollars of repairs were required.
Anyway, so catch up if you haven't yet on all the great content, the deep, rich, classical archive at BillWhittle.com, and thanks for making it possible. For Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, I'm Scott Ott. Thanks to the members for making this happen.